your business. So I congratulate all of you, because this is exactly why. And I called him, I said, and I thought, maybe if I change company. He came from very, very humble. 4 appointments a day, 3 of them would be there, 1 of them would buy from me. By the time I was ready to retire, if I had 10 referrals, 9 of them would see me, 8 of them would buy from me. And watching the track of this improvement is as motivational as anything else can ever be. Now, we succeed for many reasons in this business, but we only fail to reach our goals for one: lack of discipline. The difference between where we are and where we would like to be is all in the word discipline. The most successful people in our business discipline themselves to do the things the rest of us don't like doing. Now, I'm not saying we enjoy doing those things the rest don't want to do. I said we discipline ourselves to do those things, whether we enjoy doing them or not. Self-discipline, for those of you who may be newer in the profession, let me encourage you. Self-discipline is like a muscle. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Now, let me share this with you. I had a client, a particularly obnoxious man as it happens, but he became a very substantial client. He came from very, very humble beginnings, built a big business, and he was only about this big, and he would sit in a big chair behind a big desk in his big office, and the only thing he ever kept on his desk was 1 sheet of paper. And I said to him on one occasion, "What do you keep on that piece of paper?" And he said, "Oh, Tony," he said, "it's the secret of my success." I said, "Well, share it with me." He said, "Well, it's very simple." I said, "That's okay. Tell me." And he said, "Well, before I go home every day, I make a list of what I intend to do tomorrow. And I come in the morning, I start at the top of the list and work through." Is this a new idea? How many of us have a to-do list sitting on our desks, or maybe on our phones, or on the computer, or somewhere? So I asked him the obvious question. I said, "Tell me, what happens on the day you don't get to the bottom of your list?" And he said, "You weren't listening. Some days I leave early, and some days I stay late. I finish what's on my list." To build a business that he ended up selling for £5-6 million. Okay, look, millionaires are not queuing up for jobs selling life insurance. But let me tell you, I'm in what we call a study group. It's a bunch of guys who about 45 years ago, when we were all struggling and straining to be successful in the business, all got together from different parts of the country, and we would meet up 2 or 3 times every year in a hotel somewhere, and we would share ideas. It's what we call a study group. Now, some have died, some have left, some have emigrated, some have just disappeared, one's in jail. No, I'm not on parole, that was not me. So there are 6 of us left, and the 6 of us still meet. And we're all of an age. The youngest is about 65 and the oldest is 85. And we still meet twice a year, and we tell each other war stories. Because at our age, it doesn't matter if we've heard the story before, we've forgotten we heard it, or we've forgotten we told it before. And we have fun for a day together. And those 6 people have a net worth in excess of 200 million between them. The wealthiest is about 120 million. The next one is 30 million. I'm not going to tell you where I am in here. There are 2 at 15 million, 1 at 10, and 1 at 5. There's only 1 university degree between them, and it's not the 120, and it's one of the 10s. Okay. Millionaires are not queuing up for jobs selling life insurance. But if we discipline ourselves, if we set those goals, if we believe in ourselves and practice discipline, then we too can be in a group just like this group of pals that I value so much. Now, I am terrified. There's a little clock here, and I am terrified that I am going to kick it down there, so we'll just move it out of range. Okay. Anybody here ever have a bad day? Okay, 3 honest people and the rest. Okay, what do we do on those bad days? You know, when everything goes wrong, we go home and our beloved says, "How was your day, darling?" And we say, "Terrible. Everything's gone wrong. Nobody wants to buy from me. I think I must be in the wrong business." And what does our darling say? "Well, dear, it's up to you. You know that I'll back up any decision that you make." And we go to bed, and by the time we wake up in the morning, we're convinced we're in the wrong business. Never go home on a negative. On those days when everything goes wrong, go back to the office, go to your telephone, phone people until you get a yes to something. I don't mean find somebody who will buy from you, but find somebody who will say yes to an appointment. And now we go home and your darling says, "How was your day, dear?" And you say, "Disappointing, but at least I ended it on a positive note." Try to end every day on a positive note. And we've got to have the courage to think bigger. Does anybody here like to ski? Okay, there's always a few lunatics in the audience. Okay, right. Bigger does not mean more complicated, folks. Bigger simply means bigger. So let me ask those skiers a question. You see, I think skiing is crazy. You pay good money to be taken very slowly up a hill. When you get to the top, you come very quickly down the hill, and if you didn't break something, you pay again. So here's a question for the skiers. When you ski, do you ski uphill or do you ski downhill? Answer, please. Next question, why? Why do you ski downhill, not uphill? Because it's easier to ski downhill than uphill. What's this got to do with our business? Everything. Next time you're preparing an illustration for a client, always quote the largest sum assured. Always quote the maximum premium. Always quote a big case. Your client will ski down to where they're comfortable. But if you start with a small premium, they will never ski uphill. Have the courage to think bigger. And if I may, I'll share with you the sales idea that tops, in my opinion, every other sales idea I have ever heard. On the other hand, if you don't want to hear it, do we want it? Okay. Stop selling. Stop telling people what they need and start asking them what they want. What people want will always be greater than what they need. It's such a tiny change, but it can be worth millions. It repositions us. When we tell somebody, "You need this," we're selling to them. When we find out what they want, we're helping them to buy. Anytime you find yourself telling somebody or tempted to tell somebody what you need is, stop yourself and ask the question, what do you want? And if you don't think what they want is bigger, let me illustrate it like this. When my younger daughter finally left home, I said to my wife, "We don't need this big house anymore. Let's downsize to something more manageable." And she said, "We may not need this house, but it's where I want to live." You have to picture this. We have 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, 5 reception rooms. 2 people rattle around in there. Why? It's what we want. We have 3 cars between 2 people, a big one, a medium-sized one, and a little one. Why? It's what we want. What people want will always be greater than just their needs. Is this difficult? No. Just ask your prospect, what would you want to have happen to your mortgage in the event of diagnosis of a life-threatening illness? There's only one answer. Well, I'd like it to disappear. Well, if we could find a way of doing that, would you like to see how we do it? What would you want as income for your family in the event of your untimely death? And they'll tell you what you want. So I'm just going to share with you a very simple presentation, which is the presentation that I used. Obviously, I haven't had my Weetabix. There we are. Okay, this is it. How much does our prospect earn? Should we say 100,000 a year? Is that too much, too little? We'll say 100,000 a year. Tell me, how much would you want as income for your wife in the event of your untimely death? I'm not telling him what he needs, I'm asking him what he wants. Now, what's the answer likely to be? Somebody give me an answer. Well, if she didn't move house, but she could sell a car, and I'm the biggest eater here, and I go to the gym, so she'd get by on 50,000. Okay, so you telling me that what you would want in the event of your death is an income of 50,000? Yeah. Would you want it to reduce each year, or would you want it to keep pace with inflation? Well, no, I'd want it to keep pace with inflation. Well, now you're dead. Dead. And tomorrow, your wife, your widow, has an appointment to come and see me. And this is what I am going to tell her. There will be a big pot, and we hope there's enough money in it. And we will put a tap on the side of the pot, and you want us to be able to turn on the tap and produce £50,000 a year. That is what you said you wanted, isn't it? Have I told him what he needs? No. He's telling me what he wants. Now, we don't advise our widow clients to ever take an income of more than 5% of what's in their pot. I'm sure you'll be able to get more than 5%. But it's important that 2 or 3% get added back to the pot every year, so this will keep pace with inflation, which is what you said you wanted, isn't it? And then ask your prospect, tell me, if 50,000 represents 5%, what do you want in the pot? Well, and if they can't give you an answer, give them the calculator. And by the way, does anybody here still have one of those little calculators, sort of credit card size calculators? Throw it away. Get a big calculator, because rich people have fat fingers. We know what's wanted in the pot is, and then you just ask the client, tell me, so you want £1 million in the pot? Let me ask you, where's this $1 million going to come from? Well, I've got a little policy here and a little, but the mortgage will be paid off. And, okay, well. Now, if you do a need presentation, I can remember an insurance company saying, a need presentation, you need 6 times your income in life insurance. No, you don't. Okay, you need 10 times your income in life insurance, and this is how the client will buy it. Now, will they buy it all in one go? It doesn't matter if they don't. because we've given them a target, and as their income goes up every year, they'll be ready for some more. By the way, if any of you are full service also doing retirement planning and that kind of thing, the presentation is exactly the same for a pension plan. What do you want as income when you don't want to work anymore? Okay, remember this though, our clients don't buy life insurance to get rich. They buy life insurance so their families will not be poor. Okay. And how much detail should we go into? Let me tell you that our clients don't need to understand. They need to feel understood. It's all about trust and relationships. Well, Tony, do I really need, I'm not going to die. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been on a cruise? Well, it doesn't matter whether they say yes or no. You go home this evening and your wife says, darling, I've just booked us on a cruise for our anniversary. Would you take the cruise? Well, of course I would. You're not worried the cruise ship's going to sink? No, of course not. They don't sink. So you take a walk around the deck and you see all those little lifeboats. What are the lifeboats for? Just in case. Just in case. 1 in 4 of us does not make it to retirement. 1 in 3 of us will have a critical illness before we get to retirement. Just in case. Why don't you let us put a lifeboat together for you, for your family, for your wife and your children? Just in case. You know, when you think that 1 in 4, well, the guy next door says it's not going to be him, and I say it's not going to be me, and you say it's not going to be you, and the guy who lives the other side of you says it's not going to be him. It's going to be one of us. I hope it's not me, and I hope it's not you, but just in case. Now the wife might perk up at this point and say, we don't believe in life insurance. Anybody ever say that to you? I don't believe in life insurance? Say, you don't have to believe in life insurance. It's not a religion. Life insurance is just risk management. It passes the risk from families or from businesses who cannot afford it to the insurance companies who can afford it. It's just risk management. And then I tell my prospect, at your age, out of every 100 people, 1 of you will die this year. The insurance company does not care if it's you, because the other 99 are still paying their premiums. They've only lost 1%. But if it is you, the loss to your family, the loss to your business is 100%. It's just risk management. Let's pass the risk from your family who can't afford it to the insurance company who can afford it. Well, Tony, I don't want to talk about life insurance. I don't want to talk about him dying. It's bad luck. You ever had that from a wife? Picture this, if you would. In your back bedroom, the one that never gets used any longer, you have a machine. And every Friday afternoon, you go in and you crank the handle, and the machine spills out £1,000 in nice crisp notes. Today you discovered that the manufacturer's retired, gone. You can never replace the machine. But for a very modest monthly fee, you can have a maintenance contract which will guarantee your machine will keep producing that £1,000 every week for as long as you want it. Would you take the maintenance contract? Well, of course I would. See, my life insurance cannot replace the emotional loss if, God forbid, your husband dies prematurely.